Welcome back. Well, motorists could soon face prison sentences of up to 15 years if convicted of reckless driving. It comes after the Department of Transport confirmed its decision to go ahead with a bid to reclassify all traffic offences as Schedule 5 offences in terms of the Criminal Procedure Act. Let's take a closer look at what constitutes a Schedule 5 offence as matters stand right now. Crimes include attempted murder, which can involve the infliction of grievous bodily harm, rape, sexual assault, human trafficking, related offences, as well as crimes relating to the Drugs and Drug Trafficking Act. Any offence in contravention of Section 36 of the Arms and Ammunition Act, and this includes being in possession of, dealing and smuggling of ammunition, firearms and explosives or devices, and corrupt activities such as fraud, extortion and theft of 500,000 rand to a million by individuals or groups. So the bid to reclassify traffic offences as a Schedule 5 offence is really an attempt by the Department of Transport to deal with road fatalities. It follows the high incidence of reckless driving recorded over the Easter weekend. And joining us now in the studio is the founder and chairperson of the Justice Project South Africa, Howard Dembovsky. Good evening to you and thank you for joining us tonight. I mean, if you just look at the carnage on our roads, whether it's Easter or indeed during the festive season, it's something that we need a radical approach to deal with.
Yes, absolutely. What we don't need is a desperate approach. And unfortunately, that's what we're seeing coming up time and time again. Schedule 5 of the Criminal Procedure Act deals not with minimum sentencing, as is being asserted by the Minister of Transport. He's now the third consecutive Minister of Transport who's asserted it on behalf of Mr. Msibi of the RTMC. Schedule 5 deals with the granting of bail prior to the conclusion of your trial. And essentially what it says is that a person who is charged with a Schedule 5 offence must provide evidence that their release on bail will be in the interests of justice.
Basically that they're not a flight risk.
Correct. So essentially what the Department of Transport is saying, and I'm sorry, but we need to be very blunt about this, which is rather strange considering we're talking about Blade. The fact is that our Department of Transport, our law enforcement authorities have consistently proven that they are incapable of convicting people of road traffic offences. So what they want to do is they want to imprison them up front and have them spend time in jail. And they've actually said this quite blatantly in the past, because people must face jail time. Now, I agree wholeheartedly that a person who drives under the influence of alcohol, crashes into a bunch of school children, should face jail time. Absolutely no doubt about it. But based on a pure allegation that I have been driving under the influence of alcohol or what you perceive to be reckless driving, you can imprison me and make me have to prove that it's in the interests of justice for me to be released on bail. That's a load of nonsense. To
play devil's advocate, if you will let me, I mean, maybe the minister, in fact, is being blunt himself by saying that we've got to talk tough. South Africans in general, the perception is that we don't have a culture of abiding by road regulations. Road users are often reckless and it's coming at the cost of lives. Surely the minister can start talking tough, because we do need to do something radical here.
What the minister needs to do is come and show that they can convict people of these offences. Sorry, with due respect, Bongani, if we are going to adopt an attitude of we will imprison you up front prior to you even appearing in court, because we can't convict you in a normal court, you know, we are heading on a hiding to nowhere. Reducing road fatalities is a holistic science. It does involve proper penalties, etc. But when you have a conviction rate of somewhere in the order of 6% for driving under the influence of alcohol, why are we talking this kind of tough talk? Why are we saying we want to imprison people up front? I'll tell you why. Because we are proving beyond any reasonable doubt that our law enforcement authorities are incapable of doing their jobs. And this is a knee-jerk reaction to the incredibly high Easter Road death statistics that we've seen, where the Department of Transport and the RTMC decided that they were going to jipper that by extending the monitoring period from 5 to 12 days.
Well, notwithstanding, of course, the fact that from what's emerged from the statistics that were released by the Minister, a significantly high number of those fatalities involve pedestrians. Now, you're not going to blame them for reckless driving, are you?
Well, let's take this and put it in context, because it was said all road traffic offences will now be classified as Schedule 5 offences. Well, perhaps we should give this a go, because it's definitely going to assist with all these pedestrians that engage in jaywalking every single day in front of our motor vehicles, and as a result they get run over on freeways where they're not supposed to be. Let's arrest them and incarcerate them for 15 years. That's a brilliant idea, Minister. It really is a brilliant idea, and it certainly shows how pro-poor you are.
All right, let's take a step back. I mean, obviously I know that you're being ironic here in how you're saying this, but clearly the various strategies that are implemented every year, there's a lot of noise. In fact, in the build-up to the Easter weekend, we spoke to various MECs who had quite well-prepared scripts from which they were reading and made the stern announcement. So whether it's Arrive, Alive, or any other intervention, these strategies are not working, are they?
No, they're not. And the fact is that I think it was Albert Einstein who said that it's the first sign of insanity to keep on doing the same thing and expect different results.
So what do we do,
We've been
Howard?
doing this for ages now.
So what do we do now?
It is time that we adopted a proper scientific approach. We don't go and adopt an attitude of, oh dear, look at how bad our Easter Road death statistics are. Let's quickly bump up the period so it looks a little less bad. You know, quite frankly...
Because even by that measure, we're failing, because the statistics are saying it's worse this year than last year.
But when you manipulate it like that and it comes out to 14% instead of 70% increase, then, it looks a little bit better. And so the RTMC is fond of doing that.
So again, what do we do?
I think it's time that we actually faced reality, took a deep breath and said, right, what interventions can we introduce and monitor to see if they have the desired effect? If they don't have the desired effect, don't keep on trying. Honestly, you're not going to fit a square peg into a round hole. What we need to do is we need to start inculcating an air of responsibility in the minds of everybody. We need to educate our school children properly, instead of teaching them what we teach them currently at school, which is look left, right, left, which comes from America, where they drive on the right-hand side of the road. We should be telling our kids, look, right, left, right. But we don't do that. And we then turn around and we blame the motorist, because why? It's the easiest cop-out that you can actually come across.
Driving in the emergency lane, skipping traffic lights, not stopping at stop signs, those are things that are done not just by, say, taxi drivers, because they're the easy scapegoat, but many motorists in South Africa do become a law unto themselves. We know what the traffic looks like over the Easter period or the festive season.
Any time of the year, to be honest with you, Bongani.
Yeah.
The fact is that it's no longer just taxi drivers, it's moms and dads taxis
Precisely.
as well.
And the culture of observing these rules isn't there. What must the
Why
minister do?
isn't it there? We need to examine why is it not there. And the answer to that question is actually quite a simple one. The manner in which road traffic law enforcement has been taking place in South Africa over several decades now has been focused primarily on generating revenues. And that is the problem. Not on having proper interventions where you now go and you adjust the behavior of individuals.
The demerit system, will that help?
Not in a trillion years will it help. And let me tell you why it won't help. The whole idea of the points demerit system is now predicated on an administrative law being passed where you no longer have the right to a trial. That is going to find itself in the Constitutional Court, with all due respect. So, you know what? A points demerit system would be effective to a degree if we had proper physical policing. But I'll ask you a question. When last was your driving license checked in a manner other than the traffic officer just looking at it? If your driving license was suspended, how would that traffic officer know that it's been suspended if he's not checking it against the national database?
Well, we clearly have problems to deal with, but I suspect the idea of going to jail, say, with a rapist for skipping a red light might not pass constitutional muster. But we'll see how all of this goes. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.